Hello, it's Mike, NoStressMike.com. I want to talk a little bit about Europe and in the way of the violence that's going on and how all this is going to play out worldwide. Like I say, right now I'm in Mexico, Mexico City, matter of fact. But the thing is, I I had at one time some people get a hold of me from France, and to what I do is I do consultant work on violence, and it's nothing like a lot of people think. People that see me in person in foreign countries, the first thing they think is I'm a bodyguard, and I don't do bodyguard work. And my thing is self-defense, and the reason is I believe we have a God-given right to defend ourselves, and there's no limit to defend yourself. If you keep up at all with my videos, you can you can see that I don't care, bandits, drug cartel, military, police, whatever it is, as long as I don't do anything wrong, I have the right to defend myself in any country, in any situation. It doesn't make any difference at all. And and I put it to the test all the time. So even in the United States, I say shooting the guy and that gang member in Kansas, to being in the jungles of Central America, it just does not make any difference. China, back back in way back in the far reaches of China, it's the same thing. I've got the right to defend myself, and so when they got a hold of me in France, I couldn't understand the situation. You remember, over the internet or electronic anything, I'm limited on what I can say, and you're limited on what you could say. So I really didn't understand what it was that they wanted from me. I mean, the people that contacted me, they weren't military, they weren't police, and they were well armed. I mean, well armed. Matter of fact, I thought they were mercenaries, and I don't teach mercenaries because mercenaries don't do self-defense stuff. They go to war. They fight other people's wars. And I have to be careful because I get into these situations where it could be I am fighting somebody else's war. And that's not self-defense, So now war could be self-defense, but if it's not my war, then it's going to be you better watch out. And all this goes right back to what you've been hearing me talk a lot about here, and that is God is number one. Number two is we the people. Number three is the Constitution of the United States. That's the order that it goes. That's the way I live my life. Now, when I'm out of the country, the Constitution, the United States Constitution's got no meaning down here in Mexico. And the people, it is the people, but it's not we the people. These are different people. I have friends in all these countries that I go to. And if I don't, when I get to that country, before I leave this country, I always have friends. And I help my friends. But I can only help those that help themselves. And that's the same thing in health. If you don't want to take care of yourself, then what do you want me to do? Okay, well, in your physical well-being, okay, you have to take the steps to do this. It's the same thing on self-defense. If you are motivated to defend yourself, I don't care what country you're in, and I don't care what kind of tools we have to work with, and I don't care what our threats are. I've got information that can make you do a better job defending yourself. That's what I couldn't get figured out in France. And it ended up, we couldn't get a deal made that would get me over there. Because going overseas to a place like that, not knowing what I'm getting into, I mean, I'm not all that smart, but I do have my limitations. And so I wasn't gonna do it, or we couldn't make it work. And then less than 6 months after the deal fell through, is the first time France was having problems with their immigrants, and I still don't grasp it completely what the problem is. But I'm guessing they're Muslim immigrants is what I'm now. See, I've got to go into the detail. A lot of people remember, like I say, I don't believe the news that I see. That's why I go and I get my hands dirty and I experience and I learn things. And even at that, I'm always making mistakes. So it's hard to really understand a lot of things going on, especially in foreign countries. So anyway, I didn't want to say anything about all this stuff, but I've been notified again, this time from another country in Europe. And I've been working with them trying to figure out how we're going to make it work. This time it'll be different. I'm approaching it a different way because what I'm getting into, I know what I'm getting into. And like I say, somebody else's war. Kinda. But it's not really somebody else's war. And this is the thing that I'm working out this time. I'm going to be working, I got to work with the police and the military. I train SWAT. And, I also mentioned that I'm working on a project in Kansas where I'm going to be training SWAT. And it's going to be a massive training thing. And and the reason I took on something like that is because I know what's coming up here. And that's why I'm even considering going to Europe to do some stuff in Europe. I know what they're going through. I don't have the exact particulars, but it looks like it is something that I specialize in. And what it is, it's not, I don't normally back governments. But the big picture is the new world order. All of the problems we have in the United States, they have here in Mexico. They had it in Guatemala, Central America, every place that I've gone to. Now China, no, they don't have that problem. And the reason is China's got their own. They live in their own little world, so they really restrict stuff. I mean, The immigration, they've got tight control over their immigration. So that's why they don't have a lot of these problems. But the New World Order is breaking down the borders. You break down the borders, then you have situations like there are what's going on in France and Europe. You know, the European Union, they broke down all the borders, making the European Union, opening them up for this type of stuff. And it's going to get bad. And it's not just the United States. I made a video and I mentioned before, the best that could happen is the United States is going to have our problems. But when that happens, it's going to have a domino effect. And other things are going to be happening. That's going to be probably the best thing. Because we're going to have problems. We're not going to avoid it. I mean, it's going to be blood. And but the thing is, as long as we will not be invaded, and if we have our own problems only, that is a possibility. Between the foreign countries protecting their investments in the United States and the United Nations, there's a possibility of foreign troops on our lands. Okay, so that is a possibility. But the thing also is the whole world, basically the whole world, has got problems. Now, when ours start, it might be like when we got our independence over 200 years ago. When we started going through our thing, it snowballed, and Mexico, Central America, everybody wanted their independence. And so it became such a big deal. That's why it was easier for us to get through our independence. It may turn out to be the same thing on what's going on here in the United States this time again. A lot of these progressive, communist, socialists, let's see what deep state, all these kind of people. They're going to. It's going to be a big thing. It's not just the United States. I mean, they're going to be put under pressure throughout the world. Russia even knows what's going on this stuff, and they don't want any part of this new world order either. So, and so it's we don't know what's going to happen, but we need to prepare and understand. God, we the people, and the Constitution. The Constitution is still good. That's why and how we, as we the people, are going to be able to stand, and we're on the right side on this. We've got it good. This is Mike, NoStressMike.com.